All right, we're recording, so go ahead.
Great. Call to order the Beverage Licensing Authority virtual hearing for November 15th, 2023 at 3 p.m.
Okay. All right, I'm going to start this off with our instructions for virtual hearing and rules of decorum. The city has engaged with community members to co-create a vision for productive, meaningful, and inclusive civic conversations. This vision supports physical and emotional safety for community members, staff, and board and commission members, as well as democracy for people of all ages, identities, lived experiences, and political perspectives. More about this vision and the project's community engagement process can be found on our website. The following are examples of rules of decorum found in the Boulder Revised Code and other guidelines that support this vision. These will be upheld during this meeting. All remarks and testimony shall be limited to matters related to city business. No participant shall make threats or use other forms of intimidation against any person. Obscenity, racial epithets, and other speech and behavior that disrupts or otherwise impedes the ability to conduct the meeting are prohibited. Participants are required to sign up to speak using the name they are commonly known by, and individuals must display their whole name before being allowed to speak online. Currently, only audio testimony is permitted online. The chat function should only be used for technical questions to staff, and it should not be used for public comments. And the chat function in that refers to the Q&A. So if you have a technical question, go ahead and use that Q&A. If you are here to speak on a matter that's on the agenda, I'll ask you to raise your hand when that matter is called, and then I'll promote you to a panelist, and you'll be able to unmute yourself and turn on your camera. All right, next we have our roll call. If you'll just speak your presence aloud. Chair Califano.
Chair Califano present.
Member Roberts.
Member Roberts present.
Thank you. And as previously discussed, Member Absalom is going to be absent today, and Member Carr is going to be about 30 minutes late. So we're going to just go through some informational items on the agenda first. And then once Member Carr joins, then we can move on to the things that would require a vote since we don't currently have one. So I'm going to go ahead and come back to the approval of the Beverage Licensing Authority minutes from October 18th. Next on the agenda would be hearing agenda issues from the licensing clerk. And we can circle back with Member Carr when he gets here. The first one is that agenda item 7 for Broadway Wine and Spirits will need to be continued because they did not meet the public posting requirement. They just didn't pick up their poster in time. And then on agenda item 12, so matters from licensing clerk, I was going to ask the BLA if they would be willing to set boundaries for an application that actually their boundaries would have been set in December. That's the only thing that would be on the agenda besides the continuation for December. So if you're willing to set boundaries today for that application, then we can cancel the December.
I just want to make sure Member Carr is here for that. So can we hold off on that?
Yep. Absolutely. All right, so that's kind of it for the agenda issues, and we'll circle back when Member Carr gets in. Next, we have agenda item number 2, which is matters from Boulder Police Department, and we have a couple of officers here to introduce themselves to you. And Officer Gignac and Officer, I'll let you go.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Yeah, I'm Officer Leah Reck. I am taking over for Rich Denig. He has retired, and so I took his position starting on Monday. I've been with the department for about 22 years, so I'm excited to start this new chapter in my career. And then working with Officer Gignac, kind of tag teaming and cross-training in each other's positions so that we can both be helpful for all sorts of different matters. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Well, welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thanks. One thing I did want to bring up and mention, I have a list that I believe it's a kind of an old list that I believe was from Michonne Cook, and it was about the priorities and the duties for the alcohol and cannabis enforcement officers. At some point, I'd love for you guys to take a look at that, the BLA to take a look at that and tell me if it still stands the way that you guys, if there's anything additional, if there's anything you want removed from there. But I'm not sure if you guys have a copy of that or not, but I can always scan it and send it to Kristen, and then she can send it out to you. But I'd love to get your feedback on that and see if it's where you guys want it to be, or if, there's some things you want to change on it.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I would prefer that all 4 members, because there are only 4 at the moment, be present for that. So maybe continuing, or maybe not continuing, but looking into that at one of the hearings that we're all 4 present at. So hopefully, if we don't do December, then we would do in January.
That sounds good.
Are there any other questions for Officer Rec? It's just you, Leah. I'm looking around for people, and it's like, oh, it's just Leah. All right.
It's fun to have another Leah on, and we have the same initials, which is also rare. So I was kind of stuck on that. Welcome, Leah. Congratulations on the career pivot.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm glad that you spell your name the same way too. So.
Great. I think we can move on then.
Next will be agenda item 3, matters from Responsible Association of Retailers, and Mr. Dewey is here.
Good afternoon. Just want to say welcome to Officer Rec. I hope Officer Denig told you about me. I'll reach out to you here probably after Thanksgiving, and hopefully you and I can meet up, and I can help you better understand the cooperation between myself and the BLA and Boulder. So with that being said, she and I will work on that. I don't have too much to report to y'all. Numbers for tips trainings are still up. It's great. I've had to do a couple extra trainings. I'm having some members reach out saying that not a lot, but a good number of some of their employees cannot make our trainings due to having to go to class and such. So I'm working on when would be the best time, whether weekend or evening training, and I will be doing my best to be providing one of those. I'll do my best, every 60 days to try and fit one of those in there so we can get everybody trained as per the mandates. The other thing, talking about tips, is it continues to be a mess on their end, not ours. They've now moved their headquarters from Virginia to Texas, and it's just one thing after another with these guys ever since they got taken over about a year ago. So if you end up getting letters of proof of taking the course, but we can't get you the certificates within 60 days, please understand, Mandy and I are doing our best. They're now not even sending us the paper forms of the certificates any longer. It's going to be fully digital. And to be quite honest, we're still waiting to see that. So I always have records of everybody that's been trained. I'm the only person training them in Boulder. So I have the sign-up sheets. I have the photocopied exams just for this purpose. So please understand, still moving forward, if they don't actually produce a certificate, but you get a letter saying that I trained them, I'm the one who wrote that letter. I'm the one who talked with the, I think this last place was the local, for example, this past month with Whitney. So just please, if you have any questions, reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer them with you. And I can even give you a paper trail and email trail of all this mess if necessary. But I know you all are great there, and just looking forward to the cooperation on that. And just in case I didn't mention it last meeting, I want to make sure I do mention it again. We did get blessed from the SEA grant, which funds RAR for the city and county of Boulder, with another $7,000 a year moving forward on our grant, which is beautiful because we can really use that for efforts of prevention and wellness and education for the retailers and the youth in the Boulder community. So I think that's a big win for us. And the reason we got that, we were chosen over many other of the SEA grantees, just because of the great work we're doing together with you in Boulder and the cannabis and everything. So I think that's a pat on the back for all of us, quite honestly, because that just keeps us in town. Other than that, I don't have much to report. I'm still working on that patron safety training. May have to push it into early next year just because of lack of partners to cooperate right now, but we're working on it and we're going to get that done here as soon as possible. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Dewey. Leah, any questions? I don't have any. Awesome. Well, thank you again for all you do.
Thank you, Nathan. Okay, next we have general public comments for future beverage licensing authority hearings. We can hear any public comments without quorum. So if anyone has any public comments for something that's not on the agenda, go ahead and raise your hand. I'm not seeing any hands raised. All right, so the only other discussion item that we would have would be board recruitment. And I'm happy to talk about that now, or we can wait. We could take like a 15-minute recess until member Carr gets in, whatever you think.
Yeah, let's take a 15-minute recess till 3:30.
Okay. All right, so we'll just pause until 3:30 when member Carr gets in, and then we'll reconvene. No one needs to leave the Zoom or anything like that. Everyone can just.
Thank you.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Yeah.
All right, Beverage Licensing Authority hearing for November 15th is back in session.
Thank you. And member Carr did join us at about 3:25. So he is here. Okay, and then just to catch you up, member Carr, we just kind of skipped around just a little bit on the informational items before you got here. So we did already hear from Boulder Police Department and Nathan Dewey with RAR. So I'm just going to go back to the things that need a vote here. Actually, really quick, I'm sorry. Now that you're here, I want to talk about the agenda issues that I brought up. The first one is just that agenda item 7, which is Broadway Wine and Spirits, will need to be continued because they did not meet the public posting requirement. They just didn't have their poster posted for 10 days. And then the other one is that under agenda item number 12, which is matters from the licensing clerk, I was going to ask the BLA that if they would be willing to set boundaries for one application that would have had, the timeline would have been that they would be setting boundaries in December. Besides the continuation from agenda item 7, that would be the only thing that would be on the agenda for December. So if you guys would be willing to set the boundaries for that in this meeting, then we can cancel the December meeting and just have a January hearing. So we can talk about that when we get there, or you can let me know. That's good.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that when we get to that agenda item. The only other request I would have is because of the delay and the request for continuance is if we could rearrange agenda item number, is it 6?
Agenda item 7 is the one that would need to be continued.
If we could just move that to be just before 6, so the start of them after we hear from agenda item number 5 or 6, whatever the order is, just because we'll probably vote. Well, we'll see when we get there, but they've been waiting, so.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, great. Okay, so then I'll move on to approval of beverage licensing authority minutes from October 18th, 2023.
Are there any edits from the board? I did not have any.
No.
Is there a motion? Member
Member
Califano.
Carl will make a motion to accept the minutes.
Member Califano will second. All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Okay, so we'll move on to agenda item number 5. So we're skipping down a little. And that is Pico Corporation DBA Chicken on the Hill at 1119 13th Street, Boulder, Colorado, 80302. This is the monthly status report to the BLA. And if you're here to speak on this matter, go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, and while they're coming in here to be a panelist, I will let the board know that as of today, they are in good standing with sales tax.
Perfect. Are there any questions for Mr. Liu? Do not see any. Awesome. Well, keep up the good work and we will see you next month.
Thank you, sir. I'll see you guys then.
Okay, so I'm going to skip down to agenda item 7. And that is public hearing and consideration. One second, let me get everyone where they're supposed to be. Agenda item 7 is public hearing and consideration of an application filed on September 11th, 2023 from Bunty and Ronnie Corp. DBA Broadway Wine and Spirits, 2550 Baseline Road, Boulder, Colorado 80305. LW Ferrone LLC, partial owner. Dana E. Strong Living Trust, partial owner. Michael Van Loon, partial owner. David Shanknova, partial owner. And Nick Patinella, partial owner and registered manager, with the business mailing address of 7855 Valmont Road, Boulder, Colorado 80301, for renewal of a retail liquor store type liquor license. The applicant is here for this, so if you are here for this matter, please raise your hand and I'll let you operate. And while they're being promoted to panelists, I'll just let the board know that the poster for this item was supposed to be picked up and posted by Saturday, November 4th, but unfortunately it wasn't picked up, or the applicant wasn't able to come to our office until after that deadline. I think it was Monday the 6th that they were at our office. So so the 10-day posting requirement just wasn't met for this.
Great. Can we just get them sworn in? I'll go ahead and read the procedures and then we'll hear them out.
Absolutely. If you will go ahead and if you're here to speak on this matter, go ahead and raise your right hand for me. Okay, and do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give are true? And go ahead and unmute for me, please.
I do.
Thank you. And then will you also say your name and spell your name and give your address for the record?
Yes, my name is Prab Singh, Prab, last name Singh. Address is 6996 South Gun Club Court. That's Aurora, Colorado 80016.
Thank you. And then will you just let us know how you're affiliated with them?
Yes, I am. Pradeep Thakur, who's also on this call, he's the owner. I'm the bookkeeper / accountant, do the taxes for his business. And I actually helped file this application on his behalf. And I joined to help out in any way I can. So I'm kind of helping because obviously the liquor license, the renewal, we were late in that. We missed that first opportunity or the first date that we had. And unfortunately, we also missed the poster because this is the first renewal.
Mr. Stein, let me go ahead and read the procedures into the record and then we can hear some of your testimony.
Okay.
So this is a public hearing before the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder to determine whether or not the application of Bunty and Ronnie Corp. Doing business as Broadway Wine and Spirit for renewal of a retail liquor store type liquor license shall be granted or denied. This hearing is conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Colorado and the rules of the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder. The purpose of this hearing is to receive information, data, and testimony by interested parties in order to enable this authority to make the findings and to reach the conclusions required to be made by state law as to whether or not the license shall be renewed. Interested parties are the applicant, residents of the neighborhood affected by the license as previously determined by the authority, and the owners and managers of a business located within the neighborhood. This hearing shall be limited to the questions of whether or not there is good cause to renew the license as set forth in the notice of hearing dated November 15, 2023. A record is being made of these proceedings. Those who desire to be heard shall identify themselves, stating their name, spelling their last name, and stating their pertinent address. They shall also be sworn in by the board secretary. Is there any conflict of interest or ex parte communication from any of the board members on this agenda item? Member Califano, no.
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts, no.
All right, and is there anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak to this agenda item? If you could please raise your hand. Not seeing any. All right, Mr. Sign, I think the question we have is just what the issue was with getting the posting in time.
The letter, the email that we got, it was opened. Obviously, Mr. Pradeep wasn't here; he was out of town, and I do not have direct access to that. So once, obviously, I read the letter when I got the email from him, and I read the letter and I saw in detail that the poster requirement needs to be met. Unfortunately, we were late at that on Friday, and then Monday when he went into the office. He was informed that this has to be postponed. It has to be. They have to set a new schedule. So, but the meeting is today. So if obviously we joined. This is the first time, obviously, first renewal for him, and as well as for me. I mostly deal in taxes, so I try to do whatever I can to help him as my client. So it was a very honest mistake, ignorance on our part. We did not know about the posting requirement. So therefore, we're here for, I guess, another continuation, or if the approval, I just need to know what the process would be, if there's anything else we need to do.
You would definitely need to continue because you haven't met the state's requirement for the 10-day posting.
Understand that. Yes.
So we'll go ahead and close for deliberation at this point. Is there a motion to continue?
Member Carr will make a motion to continue.
Member Roberts will second that motion to continue.
All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
All right, it looks like we will see you probably in, Christiana, go ahead.
Thanks. I think we just need to clarify whether we're continuing until December or until January.
So do I need to, I guess, amend my motion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'll amend the motion to continue until January then, right? So I think we talked about not having a December meeting. So I'll amend my motion to continue this until the January meeting.
And I will amend and still second.
All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
So we will see you, Mr. Sign, in January.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to skip back up here to agenda item 6, which is continued public hearing and consideration of an application filed on March 29th, 2023 from Rafa Racing LLC, DBA Rafa, 1815 Pearl Street, Boulder, Colorado, 80302. Simon Matrimon, 100% owner, and Renee Herrera, proposed registered manager, with the premise business mailing address for a renewal of a beer and wine type liquor license. If you're here to speak on this matter, go ahead and raise your hand. Person. And while this person is coming in, I will let you know that this application is also in good standing with sales tax at this time. And Mr. Sauer, if you'll, awesome. I'm just gonna go ahead and swear you in. So if you'll say your name, spell your name, and give your address for the record.
Absolutely. Name is Gordon Saur. That is spelled Gordon. Last name Saur. And personal address is 1310 Folsom Street, apartment 24, Boulder, Colorado, 80302.
Thank you. And if you'll go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct?
Yes.
And do you swear that the premise has been posted for at least 10 days prior to today's hearing?
Yes.
Awesome. And then I know I got a call from Renee right before, and you can bring your hand down. I got a call from Renee right before this hearing that he is sick, so he was unable to attend. But so Mr. Sir, if you'll just let us know how you're affiliated with us.
Absolutely. I'm the cafe manager of Rafa. So I am one who would be serving alcohol here at our location.
Thank you. And I'll hand it over.
Great. And since you're not represented by counsel, I'm going to go ahead and read the proceedings into the record. This is a public hearing before the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder to determine whether or not the application of Rafa Racing LLC doing business as Rafa for a renewal of a beer and wine type liquor license shall be granted or denied. This hearing is conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Colorado and the rules of the Beverage Licensing Authority of the City of Boulder. The purpose of this hearing is to receive information, data, and testimony by interested parties in order to enable the authority to make the findings and to reach the conclusions required to be made by state law as to whether or not the license shall be renewed. Interested parties are the applicant, residents of the neighborhood affected by the license as previously determined by the authority, and the owners and managers of a business located within the neighborhood. This hearing shall be limited to question of whether there is good cause not to renew this license as set form in the notice of hearing dated November 15th, 2023. A record is being made of these proceedings. Those who desire to be heard shall identify themselves by stating their name, spelling their last name, and stating their pertinent address. They shall also be sworn in by the board's secretary. Is there any ex parte communication or conflict of interest from any of the board members? Member Califano, no.
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts, no.
Great. And is there anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak to this agenda item? If you could please raise your hand. Not seeing any. All right, Mr. Soar, please proceed.
Right. So we have since the last meeting, we have undergone for all of our staff who is serving alcohol tips training. And as previously mentioned, by my understanding, we have our reasoning for this liquor license is events, which will have an RSVP list and so that we can serve beer and wine at these events. Like I said, all of the employees who will be doing that have been tip certified.
All right, are there any questions from the board? I have one. What kind of events are you planning on hosting?
We do cycling related events. So events we've done in the past include talking about bicycle servicing, fitting bikes. We have meetups for members of our sort of club that we membership program. So it'll be either social events related to bike racing or similar types of events.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Yeah. Go ahead, Leah.
I'm not seeing any documentation about tips training or how you'll be handling your, I guess, an alcohol policy for these types of events.
Absolutely. I am in the process. I just received that information just before this meeting started from our general manager, Renee, who is unable to attend this meeting. So I have it in my possession. I know Renee is in the process of getting it to you. If that needs to be received sooner than that, I can see what I can do as well.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder. So I was sent responsible alcohol policy and tips training from Renee, but it was after the deadline to be in the packet. So it was not included in your packet. I will send it out as an exhibit. Hopefully during this meeting. But I can also share what they've sent. That would be helpful.
I think for time's sake, if you could share, that would be great, just because I'd like to review that before we consider.
So this is their responsible alcohol policy. Let me know whenever you be full.
Yeah, and to the board, feel free to speak up if you need to.
I I do have a couple flags here, just this is very generic, which is fine, but for example, employees are expected to consume alcohol responsibly. I guess I would just wonder what your definition of responsibly is.
That's something I can speak to, and that can be amended in our alcohol policy as well. Because our events tend to be fairly short, around an hour or so. I would say I would define responsibly as members of our staff who are tips trained and obviously of legal standing to drink alcohol, consuming at most one beverage.
Is there page 2?
I really do appreciate that, Mr. Saar, about consideration of how long your event is and the fact that they're probably going to be people on bike.
I would like to see that written down in the policy, though. One major red flag in your policy is nowhere does it basically give guidance on how to ID or even to ID patrons.
And it doesn't have an actual legal age stated. It just says the legal age of the jurisdiction. Since this isn't ever going to change jurisdictions, it's probably safe to put the legal age.
Absolutely, the policy can be amended to include those as well.
I also don't see anything about over intoxication, over service, anything like that. And while I understand that these events may be just an hour, you can't always guarantee where your guests have been prior.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that is an important distinction to make, especially given, like you said, you can't determine the level of alcohol somebody's consumed as they enter the establishment.
The other thing I'm noticing here is that it doesn't speak to how many beverages a person can get per ID, nor does it say if you accept vertical IDs or anything of that nature. So some more specifics around how you're going to be identifying folks and how you will be restricting or at least monitoring service is necessary. Could you speak to that?
Absolutely. So just to summarize, what we will need to include in this, or what we will include, is a summarization of IDs. The important thing we have is that generally our events have RSVP lists, so making sure that RSVP'd guests show the ID that matches up with their RSVP. Also that they're not intoxicated, and that their ID is, as discussed in the tips training, in good legal standing, not expired. Something that we can easily identify or require, if need be, a second form of identification. And if the guest isn't able to provide that, then we will not be able to serve them alcohol, or they'll be denied alcohol for the event. Similarly, for somebody who appears to be under legal drinking age, anybody under the age of 30, or who appears to be under the age of 30, will be ID'd, and anybody who is does not provide that source of identification will also not be able to consume alcohol.
Those are great updates to make. Definitely want to see those in writing. But one other question I had also is around security. Again, I understand these aren't long events, but just how do you plan on having security, or like what security measures do you have in place if there was any sort of altercation or anything like that?
We do not hire security or anything like that for these events. It'll be staff IDing. We have security cameras in place and an alarm system if an altercation like that were to take place. And we also have an internal among our locations, which we are the only one in Colorado. Among our locations, we have a system of tracking these events and updating the company on these events. So if an altercation were to occur, it would be written down formally in that way as well.
So you have a process in place internally to discuss these and to share it with your parent company.
That's correct. Yeah.
Typically, how many people are at your events?
Typically, our events would range from 5 to 25 people. Occasionally, it is our up to around 40 people, but rarely more than that. The capacity of 40 people is about what we would hit maybe once a year for something that draws attention, like something around the Tour de France or around the holidays or something like that.
And did you say you're the only person who is tips trained for that location?
I believe I am the only one who is in this sheet. I've received from Renee, the manager, the tips certification from the other people, but I will be the main, as the manager of the cafe, I will be the main person serving alcohol, I will say.
Sure, if you're not there, I mean, you can't always be there. So
that's correct. And we have Renee himself getting tips trained, and we have one more who among the three of us one of us, as we are the 3 full-time employees, one of us will always be at the event.
I just really think that this policy is lacking in a lot of safety issues. And I think we've definitely voiced our concerns. And I think that those are things that you can absolutely implement successfully. But yeah, as it stands now, it's really skeletal. Yeah, but we've said what your concerns are, so I definitely consider those. Are there any other questions from the board?
Gordon, are you familiar with the Responsible Association of Retailers? The RAR?
I am not personally, no. Okay.
Yeah, just a suggestion to work with them on creating a really robust alcohol service policy. It's a service they can help you out with. They help out a lot of merchants and retailers in the city. So I would definitely reach out to them and have Renee reach out to them.
Perfect, will do. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Not seeing any. All right, Mr. Swords, or anything else you wanted to present to us?
No, there's nothing else I have to present. Thanks.
All right, at this time, we will close for deliberation. Is there a discussion? Personally, I don't feel comfortable approving this renewal. I think it's lacking a lot. Do I want to deny it? No. I think they can definitely make some headway with a better policy. I understand that the nature of their events is small, but we're a community safety board. And I think that we need to set a precedence and be equitable with how we have looked at other applicants with lacking information in their policies. Anyone have anything else?
Yeah,
State,
Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
Leah. Okay, I was gonna say that, yeah, I mean, I echo those concerns. You know, I would, if there was like an event coming up, I could, no, I just don't feel comfortable, yeah, approving it this time based on what we've seen so far. So I would make a motion to continue this till January.
I agree with both of you, and I would second that motion to continue this until January.
All right, so we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
So, Mr. Soar, we've continued this to January. My suggestion would be just to make that, as Member Carr had said, make your alcohol policy more robust, more inclusive of all the concerns that we voiced, and we can reevaluate in January.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll just also note for the record that the deadline to submit items or materials for the packet for the January 17th hearing will be Monday, January 8th. So end of day Monday, January 8th.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so I'll move on. Chair, do you want to do the same thing we've been doing with the modifications? There's 2 modifications for the same company represented by the same attorney. Do you want me to call those in together?
You read my mind.
Okay, we're gonna call in agenda item 8 and agenda item 9 together. Agenda item 8 is public hearing and consideration of an application filed on September 18th, 2023 from Safeway Store 46 Inc., DBA Safeway Store 2911 2798 Arapahoe Avenue, Boulder, Colorado 80302. Robert Miller, President, Robert Gordon, VP and Secretary, Gary Morton, VP and Treasurer, Laura Donald, VP and Assistant Secretary, and Cheyenne Dodge, Store Manager, with a business mailing address of P.O. Box 29096, Unit MS 6531, Phoenix, Arizona 85038, for a permanent modification of a fermented malt beverage and wine retailer off-premise type liquor license. And we're also calling in agenda item number 9, public hearing and consideration of an application filed on September 18th, 2023 from Safeway Store 46 Inc., DBA Safeway Store 2919, 4800 Baseline Road, Boulder, Colorado 80303. Robert Miller, President, Robert Gordon, VP and Secretary, Gary Morton, VP and Treasurer, Laura Donald, VP and Assistant Secretary, and Jamie Rosales, Store Manager, with a business mailing address of P.O. Box 29096, Unit MS 6531, Phoenix, Arizona 85038, for a permanent modification of a fermented malt beverage and wine retailer off-premise type liquor license. And we have a few people. All right, I'm promoting to panelists here. If anyone else is here to speak on this matter, go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, and I see that I have Mr. Sandberg is here, and I have Eva. Is anyone else going to be appearing, Mr. Sandberg?
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, I do have a couple of the store employees that are present there with me in the same conference room. So Amy Counselor, as well as Dion Stefanovich. And then my partner, John Stonebreaker, is in here as well, but he will not be testifying.
Okay. I will go ahead, and if our licensees can appear on camera, I'll go ahead and have them state their name and spell their name and give their address for the record. And then if you'll raise your right hand after that.
Amy, A-M-Y, last name Counseller. Address is 8721 West 79th Avenue, Arvada, Colorado 80005.
Dion Stefanich, DION STEFF.
Oh, I can't quite hear you. If you could speak up, maybe the speaker needs to be a little closer.
Oh, okay. Dion Stefanich, DION STEFFONICH, 601 West 170th Place, Broomfield, Colorado 80023.
Thank you. And if you'll both raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the statement you're about to give are true and correct?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, and then Eva, I think that you did the posting, so I'll save the posting for you. Okay, and then Eva, I'll move on to you. If you'll state your name and spell your name for the record.
Yeah, good afternoon, Caitlin. For the record, my name is Eva Garrettson, one of the owners of Liquor Licensing Professionals, doing business as Liquor Pros, and I am located at 5515 Saddle Rock Place in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we are the survey company.
Thank you so much. And if you'll raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give are true and correct?
I do.
And do you swear or affirm that the premises have been posted for at least 10 days prior to today's hearing?
I do. I do. Thank you, Caitlin.
Great. And Mr. Sandberg, if we could just get you to record your appearance.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Sandberg, Sandberg. I'm with the law firm Dale Carr, Stonebreaker, and Hutchings. My attorney registration number is 42507. And good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
Great. Thank you. And Counselor, I'd ask if you'd be willing to waive the reading of the procedures for both agenda items into the record.
Yes, we would. Thank you.
Great. And is there any ex parte communication or conflict of interest from any of the board members? Member Califano, no.
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts, no.
And is there anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak to this agenda item? You could raise your hand. Not seeing any. Mr. Sandberg, you may proceed.
Thank you. And does the authority prefer that I just go location by location? Is that okay?
Yeah, we need different motions to approve each one.
Absolutely. Would you like Ms. Garrettson to testify 2 separate times then?
That would be my preference, yes.
That works for us. Okay, thank you. Ms. Garrettson, I'm first going to call you to testify. If you can please introduce yourself to the authority, please.
Yes, sir. Once again, for the record, my name is Eva Garrettson, one of the owners of Liquor Licensing Professionals, doing business as Liquor Pros.
And Ms. Garrettson, what does Liquor Pros do for a living?
We are a survey company conducting needs and desires survey for both marijuana and liquor licenses throughout the entire state of Colorado. We are also listed under Liquor Enforcement Division as a responsible vendor trainer for the state of Colorado.
And how long have you been an owner of Liquor Pros?
March 1st of 2017.
Okay. In your experience, how many petitions have you been a part of?
4,000 this year.
Let's talk about the petitioning that you were hired to do here in this case. And let's start with the first agenda item, which is for Safeway Stores 46 Inc. doing business as Safeway Store 2911 at 2798 Arapahoe Avenue, Boulder 80302. Was your company hired to do petitioning for this permanent modification premises?
Yes, sir, we were.
Can you please describe the petitioning process that you went through here?
Yes, sir. So prior to the start of the petition, our surveyors are briefed on the type of liquor license that is being applied for, in this case, a modification of the existing premises. And then the areas to be surveyed. So we were provided with the petition packets by Miss Caitlin Kellogg from the city, who we always appreciate. And then we conducted the needs and desires survey after that. Did the survey on October 27th, October 31st, November 2nd, and November 4th. Made attempted contacts for 427 business owners, managers, and residents inside the area. Attained a total of 110 signatures. 56 were from business owners and managers, all 56 signing in favor at 100%. We then obtained a total of 54 signatures, 51 signing in favor at 94%, and 3 opposed at 6%. If we combine these totals, we actually have 97% signing in favor at 107 signatures and 3 opposed at 3%. We are a third-party petitioning company, which means we do not guarantee results. We simply provide the survey and the results are is. This was about standard of what we've been seeing in the Boulder area. The 97% though is clearly higher than what we've shown as a final result. So the 97% clearly shows a need and desire for the modification of the fermented malt beverage and wine off premises liquor license.
And Ms. Garrettson, did you pre-file these results as required?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, and I believe that these are already part of the record, but if not, can we please make these part of the record?
Yes, they're in our packet.
Thank you very much. Ms. Garrettson, you said 97% is high. What is kind of the standard range for these types of modifications of premises?
So we've been doing other locations, including Family Dollar, King Supers, Whole Foods, other licenses of similar type. But the average that we've seen across the board is high 70s to low 80s is the average approval rate of these, is about the average. But yeah, the 97's been by far the highest that we've seen in the state so far with these types of licenses.
And what are the typical number of signatures? What's kind of that range?
About 100, it's averaged around 120 to 130.
Okay. And I want to talk with you specifically about some of the businesses. Did you go to any of the retail liquor stores in the designated area?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay. And why was that important to make sure you went to the retail liquor stores?
When we first did the modification back in 2017, I believe, was when 3-2 beer went to full liquor. There were concerns with the mom and pops of the local retail liquor stores and local gas stations and other ones that had the similar type of license. And so in order to become fully transparent to the authority, we made sure to go back to those folks. If they were willing to sign, we got a signature from them. If they were unable to, due to an owner or manager not being available, we at least left the notification, also reminded them that there is a posting on the site with the hearing information, and they are more than welcome to attend the hearing if they have any questions for the applicant or directly to the authority.
Great. I have no further questions for Ms. Garrettson, but if the authority has any questions, please. Or the city attorney, I'm sorry.
Is there any questions for Ms. Garrettson? My computer is running a little slow. Did you hit up Hazel's?
Yes, sir, we did. Yeah, those, because that was one of the ones from the last time, that one, and then as you'll hear in the next hearing, one of the ones that had concerns from the last time. Yes, sir.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Califano.
There any other questions from the board? Not seeing any. Mr. Sandberg, please proceed.
Thank you. If we can please call Amy Counselor. And she is right next to me, so I'm going to try and make this as less awkward as possible. All right, Ms. Counselor, if you can please introduce yourself to the authority.
Hi, I'm Amy Counselor. I work at Safeway store 2911 Boulder as a store manager.
And how long have you worked for Safeway?
25 years.
Okay, what are some of the different positions that you've held at Safeway?
I've had a courtesy clerk, a cashier, customer service clerk, second assistant, first assistant, and store director.
Okay, and how long have you been a store director for?
15 years.
What are some of the duties and responsibilities as a store director?
I oversee the daily, day-to-day operations of sales, out of stock, store standards, and customer satisfaction.
And do some of your responsibilities and duties include making sure that your staff are trained, that they're following proper policies and procedures?
Yes.
Okay, so really day-to-day operations.
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk with you about the application here. It's for a permanent modification premises for the permanent alcohol product display area. This is a result of the Proposition 125 that allows retailers such as Safeway to now carry wine. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the authority about some of the customer demand that you have received since this proposition came about and was voted on.
So typically about 2 or 3 times a day, we'll have customers come in asking for wine. Right now, we don't carry a lot of wine because we don't have a permanent location. We probably carry about 50 to 60 SKUs. If we were to get the license, then we would carry about 500. So I do get concerns where the customers will go elsewhere to buy their product, including their food. If they want a steak or a lobster, they can't get their wine. I have people that come from Erie and sometimes Broomfield that can get their wine down there and then can't come up here, so the consistency level is not there.
And so the wine that you're currently selling, it's just on temporary display.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this modification premises being granted would allow you to carry, it sounds like, much more variety for your customers.
Yes.
As a store director, is it important to you to carry the variety that your customers are demanding?
Yes, absolutely. It helps sales. It increases customer satisfaction.
Is consistency between stores also important?
Yes, I mean, we do have customers that travel or go to family members and they say I can get it in Erie, but then if I come up to Boulder, I can't get it on the way home. They work in Boulder.
And you're aware that your company has done similar modifications of premises throughout the state, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and the last ones really are these Boulder locations?
Yes.
Okay. Talk a little bit about the one-stop shopping convenience that having a wider selection of wine would have for your customers.
I do have customers just coming in, like I said, they want to get their steak or lobster or their dinner, and like I said, 2 or 3 times a day, they say, hey, where's the wine selection? I have to show them, and it's obviously a very small section, so then they have to end up going somewhere else. And typically, if I lose a customer because they can't get it here, that's about $6,000 a year to me, loss in sales.
Let's talk a little bit about the diagrams, and I believe the authority has those diagrams as part of the packet. Is that correct?
Correct.
Great. Thank you. So the before and after that we're looking at, you currently have approximately 64 linear feet of permanent alcohol product display for beer, and you're simply trying to add 66 linear feet of permanent product display area for wine. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the location of the wine would be the same aisle opposite side as where the beer is currently at. Is that right?
Yes.
And then a small end cap at the end.
Correct.
Okay. Can you describe for the authority that may not have been to this location, where within the store would this alcohol be located?
So where you can't really tell on the map, but where the that whole aisle of beer and alcohol would be is right in front of our self-checkout, which we run 6 self-checkouts basically from open to close. So I do have a self-checkout attendant there. So it is super close to the point of sale.
Is that part of the benefit of having the alcohol located in this area is the added monitoring?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So in addition to it being close to the checkout area, where is it in relationship to the doors?
So I don't know if I don't know if I can tell on there, but so if you go past the self-checkout and go to the right, the doors are all the way on the right-hand side.
So we're
So the
looking,
east side, I guess, or
Okay.
well, I guess the store's facing west, but on the east side of what you're looking at.
and you only have one set of doors, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so for someone to get alcohol in this area, they would have to walk by the checkout areas, correct?
Correct, yes.
And you constantly have employees in that area.
Yes, we always have somebody at self-checkout. Just once an hour, that would increase if this passed. I do hourly checks. My manager does hourly checks where we walk out the store and we're at those aisles all day long.
Talk about the surveillance that's in that area as well.
We do have cameras down that aisle, and then we do have cameras above self-checkout as well and at the front entrance.
And as part of the training that your employees go through, does it include making sure that they're cognizant of where the alcohol is located, who is allowed to have access to that alcohol?
Yes, absolutely.
And you have ongoing training throughout the year, is that right?
We do it 4 times quarterly, so 4 times a year. Yes.
In addition to the standard training or the formal training, are there also constant reminders that are being provided by yourself and other members of the management team?
Yes, we do. Me and my grocery manager do observations where we give feedback. We have a bars program, which they go in there and they, I guess, test my people to see if they would pass an alcohol testing.
Let's talk a little bit about the policies and procedures. As you have heard, the board is there also for community safety to make sure that we're a safe and responsible seller of alcohol. So let's talk a little bit about policies and procedures. In addition to those reminders, you mentioned the bars program.
Yes.
Describe that for the authority a little bit, what that bars program is.
So it's a company that comes in and they, go through the self-checkout or a check stand or customer service, and they have an underage ID, and then they see if the cashier is going to prompt to look at the ID and then enter it in. If you fail, you get a red card. And if you pass, you get a green card. Every time they do this program, about once every 3 weeks, they call the manager up on duty. They give us the red or green card. I've never had a red card, thankfully. When they do get a green card, I do give them a $5 coupon just to thank them for doing their job well.
And with the bars program, are you or any of your staff members notified of what time the secret shopper is coming in, or is it all random?
Beforehand?
Yes.
It's all random.
Let's talk a little bit more. What are about the policies and procedures? What are some other policies and procedures that are in place regarding alcohol?
Like I said, we do the training 4 times a year. We do have cameras. If you see at the self-checkout, we have cameras over all of that. Me and my grocery manager randomly do look at the cameras to look at that. As far as just observations on the front end.
And what about carding? Who do we card?
Oh, everyone. We do the ID everyone. So it doesn't matter whether they're 30. We have signs at all the registers. We have signs at the self-checkout, and it doesn't matter the age. They could look 70. We still ID everyone.
And do we have a policy where we do not accept Colorado vertical IDs?
Yes.
Okay, and you mentioned there's signage throughout the stores and cameras, is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Talk a little bit about the POS system so the authority knows those extra layers of security.
So when alcohol is scanned through the check stand, they can scan their beer or wine. It prompts you to look at their ID, and you have to physically enter the ID into the system. If it's an underage, it denies the sale. It doesn't ring it up. If they're fine, then obviously it lets the sale go through. But that does require a override, which the clerk or a manager has to physically go scan.
And you and other members of the management team do spot checks just to make sure we don't have a cashier that constantly enters in their own date of birth?
Yes, I am up there constantly. My grocery manager's up there constantly, and we do observations a lot.
And then these policies and procedures that are in place, is that something that you have your staff members sign throughout the year?
Yes, they do 4 times a year electronically.
Anything else that you think is important for the authority to know about your request or the customer demands that you're receiving?
I just think it's important for us to get wine. The customer demand is there, the consistency is there, and like I said, I get asked 2 to 3 times a day, you know, hey, where's your wine? Where's your wine? I can go to somewhere else and get it. And I just want to be able to make them happy and, you know, get their meal plan.
I have no further questions for Ms. Counselor, but if the authority or city attorney have any questions, please.
Are there any questions from the board for Ms. Counselor? Not seeing any. Mr. Sandberg, I did have a question that I wanted to go back to. Oh gosh, is she still here? Your petitioner, Liquor Pros, there we go. I did not see Hazel's on the form under the business. Did they just refuse to sign or anything?
Well, sometimes, and this happened with the last time, I believe a member Roberts had asked me about that. So I did go back and look. Once again, we do, if we go in there, sometimes there's not a manager available, or for instances like this, if the manager prefers for the owner to sign. This was thoroughly discussed with, we actually did a roundtable with this, like we did on the last one with all our surveyors. This one was done by Carol Johnson. She has an extensive amount of survey experience. So it was made clear that we did need to hit those areas. So unfortunately, I can't tell you right now, Mr. Califano, if I know they were notified. Once again, like I said, I don't know why they didn't. I did go back on the other petition and look to see that Bailey's and B-Town Wine actually did sign. So we do try and hit those places, including the gas stations that have beer and wine now as well, or the fermented malt beverage.
Great, thank you for that.
You're welcome, sir. Yeah, no, I totally understand the concern, and that was one of the concerns of ours in order to help make sure everything was as transparent as possible, especially for the authority. It kind of covers us, it covers the applicant, it covers you guys. So we really discussed that in extensive in detail to make sure that they understood that we need those places at least notified, at least the notification was given to them regarding the modification of this license.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Then we didn't have any questions from the board from Ms. Counselor, I believe. All right, please continue.
I believe there's actually a question from the Assistant City Attorney to Member Califano.
Oh, I didn't see you. You're up in the corner.
I'm hidden. It's okay. I just for like meeting procedure purposes, I wanted to note that I think the sound, Mr. Sandberg, is going in and out during your questioning and testimony. So in order to ensure a clear record of the meeting or of the hearing, and make sure that the BLA members can properly get all of the pertinent information, I don't know what the issue is, but just noting that for you. And if you guys can make sure that you're just speaking maybe directly at the speakers of your computer or something. I don't know, but I wanted to flag that and make sure we were getting everything we could.
Thank you, Counselor. I appreciate it. I'll try and talk a little bit slower and just wave if I'm off. Sorry.
Sounds good.
And Leah, you had something?
I was just going to point out that Christiana's hand was up.
Thank you. I don't see any hands now, so please proceed.
I have no further witnesses at this point. The applicant believes that we have met our burden here. There's clearly a need and desire, as evidenced by the petitioning in this case, as well as Ms. Counselor's testimony that she has requested this information and this wine multiple times a day. So I do believe that we've met our burden and again, reestablished that we are a safe and responsible seller of alcohol, and happy to answer any other questions that the board may have.
Great, thank you. This time we'll close for deliberation. Is there discussion, a motion? Member Califano would move to approve the permanent modification.
Member Carr would second the motion.
All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
All right, permanent modification approved.
Thank you very much.
And I don't believe we need to get you resworn in, and you've already waived the reading of the proceedings for the next agenda item.
We'll just switch places.
So I would ask the board if there was any ex parte communication or conflict of interest for this agenda item. Member Califano, no.
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts, no.
Great. And is there anyone in the audience here that wishes to speak to this individual agenda item? Not seeing any. Mr. Sandberg, please proceed.
Thank you very much. Before we do get started, we do want to just note for the authority, we're going to be going through our layout here. And the reason why I wanted to address it now was before there was testimony. There was quite frankly, lack of a better word, just a mistake that the beer was actually moved. The 48 linear feet that's already been approved was moved those 2 aisles over. So we wanted to be transparent, apologize when we saw this. Didn't want to be hiding anything. So just wanted to draw your attention to that, and I'll talk about it with my witness here, but just wanted to raise that to you and again, apologize before we get started. And with your authority, I'd like to call Ms. Garrettson to testify, please.
Please do.
All right, Ms. Garrettson, if you can please introduce yourself again to the authority. I know we've gone through this before, but each one's a different hearing, just so we have an appropriate record.
Yes, sir. So once again, for the record, my name is Eva Garrettson, one of the owners of Liquor Licensing Professionals doing business as Liquor Pros. Conducting the needs and desire survey for Safeway Store 2919 at 4800 Baseline Road. And we are located at 5515 Saddle Rock Place in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
And Ms. Garrettson, how long have you been one of the owners of Liquor Pros?
March 1st of 2017, we took over the company. I do apologize if I misled that before. I worked for them 3.5 years before that.
Okay, and how many petitions have you been a party of?
Over 4,000. Oh, over 4,000, both liquor and marijuana.
And did you do the petitioning for the store that we are going to be discussing at Safeway Store 2919 4800 Baseline Road, Boulder 80302?
Yes, sir.
Can you please talk about the petitioning process as well as the results, please?
Yes, sir. So a part of the petitioning process, once again, we visited with the surveyor to make sure they understood the type of liquor license that was being applied for, the areas to be surveyed, and reminded them to be unbiased in their approach to the residents and business people. This license, since we do not guarantee results. This one was done on Thursday, October 26th and Friday, October 27th. We did made an attempted contact with 433 business owners, managers, and residents inside that area. 41 signatures were from business owners and managers. 37 signed in favor at 90%, 4 opposed at 10%. We then obtained a total of 79 residential signatures, with 64 signing in favor at 81%, 15% opposed. If we combine these numbers, we actually have 101 signing in favor at 84%, 19 opposed for 16%. This was typical about what we've seen in Boulder. It kind of mirrors everything that we've seen before. Once again, we do ask those folks to write in why they are in favor or opposed to this license. 16 declined to provide a reason. 2 said there was enough or too many in the area, and 1 stated there was no need for this license in the area. We did, and Mr. Califano, once again, in speaking to your concern, we did once again get the B-Town wine on 5360 Arapahoe, and then of course Bailey's, which was right around the corner. We did notify them about that, and it was the manager that signed in opposition. Both of them did sign in opposition, but we were able to grab a signature from both of those locations. The 84% though is typical about what we've seen in the state as far as approval for these license. And when I'm saying an approval, we're saying for new license, but since this is a full survey, it kind of mirrors that throughout the state. But the 84% clearly shows a need and desire still for this modification, and that the existing outlets have not yet met that need.
And I believe the petitioning packet is part of the record, and just for clarity, if not, if it can please be part of the record.
Yes, we have it.
Thank you. And Ms. Gerritsen, I believe you previously testified that the range is typically that high 70 to low 80. So this really is in that range and towards the upper end as far as being in favor. Is that right?
And I apologize. I missed the first part of that. I think I'm losing the microphone just a little bit right there at the beginning.
My apologies. Thank you, Ms. Gerritsen. I
Uh-huh.
believe you previously testified that the range of in favor is the high 70s, low 80s. So this really is within that range. Is that correct?
That's been about the average. Yes, sir.
Okay. And the total number of signatures, how does that compare to the typical petitioning?
That's right in the middle, about average.
Okay. And I have no further questions for Ms. Gerritsen, but if the authority or city attorney have any questions, please.
Are there any questions for Ms. Gerritsen from the board? I have one quick one. You normally go around with what the plan is to do in the modification. Did you have the correct plans that Mr. Sandberg had referenced?
So we take the whole packet that was provided to us by Caitlin, and this one does include the plans in there. So the layouts and everything. So we do keep those with us in the back. You know, there's a certain order that we try and do. So we put the cover page on first, showing what it is, and then the petition page is right on the top. But we do include the whole packet. And when we do give the clipboard over to the person signing, we tell them, go ahead and look at everything, just so that they have all the information right there, read everything, go through everything. Like we said, we try and have everything available there as well. But everything that she does include in the packet, we make printouts of and carry with them. So, yeah.
And Mr. Sandberg because what we have in our packet, is that what you're saying is incorrect?
The before is incorrect because the before being current today, right now, is actually in the after location.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Ms. Gerritsen?
The applicant has no further questions based on that.
All right, Mr. Sandberg, please continue.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Stefanich, if you can please introduce yourself to the authority, please.
Sure. I'm Dion Stefanich. I'm the current store director for Safeway Store.
And how long have you worked for Safeway?
It sounds like you're breaking up again. The mic's not quite working.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Dion Stefanich. I am the current store director for Safeway 2919. I've worked for Safeway for 25 years.
What are some of the different positions that you have held with Safeway?
Oh, Mr. Sandberg, now we can't hear your question.
I'm so sorry. This is a newer computer too. My apologies. Sir, what are some of the different positions that you have held with Safeway?
The different positions have been a courtesy clerk, a checker, customer service clerk, front-end head clerk, merchandiser, overnight stocker lead, produce manager, assistant grocery manager, grocery manager.
Sorry to interrupt. We can't hear you still.
Is this any better if we're right next to it?
Mr. Sandberg, we can hear you. We just can't hear Glenn.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay. I'll try to speak more clear. I apologize. Courtesy clerk, checker, customer service clerk, front-end head clerk, night crew manager, produce manager, assistant store director, a merchandiser, and store director currently.
How long have you been store director?
I've been a store director for 14 years.
And describe some of your duties and responsibilities as the store director.
Day-to-day operations throughout. I oversee everything that goes on within my store, with anywhere from customer satisfaction to stocking issues to interactions, training. I oversee everything within my store.
And we are here for the permanent modification or premises for the permanent alcohol.
Mr. Sandberg, I'm so sorry, but I think you might really need to bounce the computer back and forth between you two, or just really lean into it.
And please continue to jump in. I want to make sure you hear. I apologize for the annoyance it's causing. Sir, we're here for the modification of premises from Proposition 125, which allows grocery stores such as yours to be able to sell wine. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Let's talk a little bit about the reasons why you are looking to have a permanent product display for wine. Currently, you just have beer, trying to expand to wine. What are some of the reasons why?
Just to tack on with customer consistency, also customer satisfaction. The one thing that we really need this day and age is time. And I think that if we have a one-stop shop, which is, I've been stopped numerous times, not either me personally numerous times a day or either other colleagues within my store, just making sure that we have everything that we can offer to our customers.
And as the store director, is it important that you provide one-stop shopping, consistency, and meeting your customers' demands?
Absolutely. Being a facilitator of my neighborhood, I mean, I want to give them all of the satisfaction that they can without having to go anywhere else. They come for me for a reason, and if I can service them, I mean, that's one of the main goals that we have in my facility.
Sir, I just want to talk about the modification of premises. Currently, there is 48 linear feet of permanent product or permanent alcohol product display for beer. You were simply trying to add 6 linear feet, move it a couple aisles over where it's currently at now, and have approximately 90 linear feet of wine in the same aisle. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I'm trying to make this as less awkward as possible. I'm sorry. All right, sir, talk a little bit. That wine is in the same aisle as beer. Why is it important to have it in the same location?
If you guys look at my map, the location is it's easily monitored in that aisle. It is right behind my Starbucks area, so there's always somebody that is monitoring when you leave that aisle, as well as we have it's in the center part of our store, so we're always up and down that aisle. Also, that includes our dairy, which is cheese, which is one of the #1 consumer products that we have. So we always have somebody within our aisle. We always have somebody checking that aisle. So it is definitely monitored, and that's one of the real reasons that we have it on that aisle as well.
Any of your staff training?
Yes, they are. One of the reasons why it's actually works out really well is because the Starbucks is one of the first things that's opened at the end of that aisle. And to exit that aisle where both beer and wine is going to be the front of the store where they have to go to actually leave. So my employees are definitely trained in monitoring that aisle and stuff, especially with certain qualifications and everything like that as well.
Mr. Sandberg, can you repeat that last question?
Sure. The question being, is your staff trained to monitor that area?
Thank you.
Talk a little bit more about your policies and procedures regarding alcohol.
We have a standard training, 4 times a year is where we have to actually go through liquor training. It is an online signed document. One of the other qualifications being that certain age limits are required to even have people that check out to have the sale of alcohol. They have to go through a mandatory training just to do that, as well as utilizing all the POS systems that we have within our store are all standard with the prompts of actually having that to have and enter in your date of birth and things like that when they're actually requested to do that.
And similar to the previous store, talk about the ID requirements as well as the BARS program.
The BARS program obviously is a really good tool, especially in the Bouldertown area as well. Also, we do have a tips training that we are required that anybody that runs a register. Also having just policies and procedures such as no vertical IDs, and regardless of any age requirements or anything like that, to even have a sale of alcohol, regardless of what it is, if that's prompted, they have to be entering that date of birth.
Finally, sir, tell the authority a little bit more about how, if this is approved, the permanent modification premises, how that's going to help meet customer demand regarding the quantity of wine you'd be able to offer?
It's just really there to increase our business, increase supporting our neighborhood, which is really one of the things that we're doing. They come to us for a reason, and like I said, I just want to leave on the fact that time is of the essence. And if you were planning to go and building a meal around your store, or having something where you live in a different area and you're visiting Boulder, visiting my facility, and you can't get the same consistency of things if you're going to like Erie or to Broomfield or whatnot, just having that is really going to be one of the things that I really want to do, is just provide the superior customer service that we do to our community.
And I have no further questions for the witness, but if the authority or city attorney have any questions, please.
Are there any questions from the board? Not seeing any. Christiana?
Thank you. I would just like to get a little clarification, perhaps showing the diagram on the screen so that we can understand what was in the packet and what is just what the confusion was or mistake was there. That would be helpful, I think.
Sure, and I can explain it. The before shows where the beer should be. It's approximately 48 linear feet of the permanent product display area. The after that shows beer of 54 feet, the 48 feet of beer is now in that location. So the beer is in the after location, but they are utilizing 48 linear feet for permanent product display. And I can have the witness testify to it, but the before to after, the aisles, it's 2 aisles over, it's approximately 10 feet. We don't believe it's a material or substantial modification, but obviously wanted to bring it to the authority's attention, as that was a mistake that was made. And if the authority is not aware, with these modifications of premises, Safeway did approximately 100 of them. So there is a team that goes in to try and redesign the layout of the stores to accommodate potential approvals. And there was just a mistake where the beer was moved before the authority had approved that move. And so again, we do apologize for that mistake and oversight.
Christiana, how substantial do you think that is?
I don't know that it's a substantial issue as far as approving the modification. I think they've made a record of it, and they have identified what the issue was. I think the main thing for me was ensuring that the BLA members could see just what they were talking about on the diagrams, and what Mr. Sandberg was referring to when he was talking about the mistake in the diagrams. So if BLA members are clear on where everything is and have the information that you all need here, then I think that it's not a substantial issue for my purposes. If you have more questions to ask or want more clarification, then obviously please ask.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Mr. Sandberg, did you have anything else you wanted to present?
I have no further witnesses. No, thank you very much. I do believe that we've met our burden here as well. There's clearly a need and desire, as our witness testified to, as well as Ms. Garrettson. We are a safe and responsible seller of alcohol. And obviously, again, don't want to hammer this home too much, but do want to just apologize for the oversight and that being moved too soon.
Great, thank you. This time we'll close for deliberation. Is there a discussion or a motion?
Member Carr will make a motion to approve the permanent modification.
Member Califano would second. All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Permanent modification approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone's time. Ms. Kellogg, by the way, is fantastic. I know you hear that all the time, but she's been so wonderful to work with, so we really appreciate her.
She is great.
Reading.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
You as well.
Okay. I think everyone is where they're supposed to be. Okay, great. Next we have agenda item 10, which is hearing and consideration of an application filed on August 30th, 2023 from the Med Group LLC DBA The Mediterranean, 1001 Walnut Street, Suite 101B, Boulder, Colorado 80302. Gemma Williams, 100% owner, and Greg Topol, registered manager, with the premise business mailing address for a new hotel restaurant type liquor license. And if you're here for this application, go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, and I'm just getting everyone in here.
Good evening. Good to see everyone again.
Yes, Jane.
Hey.
All right. And Mr. Gamal, if you'll just let us know who's going to be testifying for this matter.
Sure. We have Aaron McCullough from Oedipus Petitioning. We have Gemma Williams as managing member of the Med. And then we have Mr. Topel here as well. And just a quick clarification, when we submitted the amended application by the deadline, Ms. Williams is actually the GM as well, not Mr. Topel.
Thank you.
Of course.
And I will just have our witnesses, if you'll just say your name, spell your name, and then give your address for the record in whatever order you prefer.
Yeah, we can start there, McCullough. If Aaron, you wanted to start with that, sorry, I'll help.
Do I start?
Yeah. If Gemma, you want to start, go ahead. Go now.
Okay.
Go for it.
Hi, Gemma Williams, GEMMA WILLIAMS. Is there anything else I needed?
If you'll just give your address.
Oh, personal address is 6755 Harvest Road, Boulder, Colorado 80301.
And yeah, Mr. Topel, go ahead.
And I'm Greg Topel, GREGTOPEL. I reside at 2112 Pine Street, Boulder, Colorado 80302.
Then Aaron, go ahead for you as well.
Aaron McCullough, I'm CTULLOUGH at 17334 East Twinberry Street, Parker, Colorado 80134.
Thank you. And then I'll just have all three of you raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct?
Okay.
And do you swear that the premise has been posted for at least 10 days prior to today's hearing?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mr. Gemmel, apologies if you already did this and I missed it, but if we could get you to record your appearance.
Of course, Austin Gemmel on behalf of the Med Restaurant Group, registration number 52753.
Great. And since you're representing as counsel, I'd ask if you'd be willing to waive the reading of the procedures into the record.
Of course, given the time, of course.
Great. And is there any ex parte communication or conflict of interest from any of the board members? Member Califano, no.
Member Carr, no.
Member Roberts, no.
Great. And is there anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak to this agenda item? If you could please raise your hand. Not seeing any. All right, Mr. Gemmel, you may proceed.
Thank you so much. I'll obviously start with Aaron McCullough first to discuss our petition results. Aaron, if you wouldn't mind just giving a brief introduction of yourself as well as just walking us through your petition methodology and the results, that would be great. Thank you so much.
So my name is Aaron McCullough. I am the owner of Oedipus Petitioning. I recently bought it on August 1st, 2023. Oedipus Petitioning was engaged to perform a petition survey of the designated area to determine the needs and desires for the application of the Med Group LLC, doing business as the Mediterranean. Payment for our services was received up front, and the Mediterranean was informed that we cannot guarantee results. The designated area consisted of businesses along Pearl Street and Walnut Street, as well as the surrounding residential dwellings within the boundaries provided by the city. Of the accessible business and residential dwellings, a wide-ranging sample of the designated area was surveyed for this petition over 2 days of surveying on November 4th and 5th. Business owners and managers and residents were informed that the Mediterranean was applying for a new hotel and restaurant liquor license. They were asked if they were over the age of 21 and if they would be willing to provide their opinion on the license's issuance as fully detailed on the petition forms. Out of the 333 potential contacts that were surveyed, 142 were not available or not at home. Of the remaining businesses and residences surveyed, we were able to make contact with 191 people. Of that number, 22 preferred not to participate, 2 were neutral to the outcome, and 17 were not qualified to sign. Of the participants, 150 signatures were in favor of the issuance of the license, which includes 80 businesses and 70 residents. 0 were against issuance, 0 signatures were deleted. So 100% of those who participated were in favor of issuance. 0% of those who participated were in opposition. So overall, the general feedback received was extremely positive, as residents and businesses are very excited for this opportunity.
Great. I have no further questions for Ms. McCullough, if the board wanted to ask some questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Not seeing any, but I do have to say that is an impressive petition.
I think people are excited about the Mediterranean coming.
I can see that for sure in this petition.
Yeah. So yeah, I have no further questions for Ms. McCullough. If she could be excused, that would be excellent.
Yes, she can be excused. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Aaron. Till next time.
Yeah.
Now my next witnesses, I'm going to call them together. It's going to be Ms. Williams and Mr. Topel. They both have already been sworn in, so I'm just going to jump right into it if that works for the board as well. So what we're going to start with, Ms. Williams, we're going to talk a little bit about concept, talk a little bit about menu. But first, could you clarify what your position is with the Med?
Yes, I'm the managing member.
Great. And so what is the intended concept for the Mediterranean?
A Mediterranean style restaurant with a focus on wood-fired pizzas, fish and meats, and a wine bar.
Okay. And what establishment used to be in this exact location?
So for the past 30 years, the Mediterranean restaurant had been operating as kind of a staple in Boulder.
Under different management or ownership?
Yes, under a different management and ownership. Greg was a manager for a little bit, but or for a long bit.
And so how is your concept going to be different, if at all?
We very much hope to embody the same spirit of the old Med restaurant. However, we will have like a slimmed down menu of full meals. Okay.
And when do you intend on opening the Mediterranean?
So for efficiency and feasibility, we intend to roll out the space in phases, with the intention of opening at some point in January.
So phase 1 will be opening at some point in January.
Yes, that's our goal.
Great. And I'll have Mr. Topel provide a little bit more testimony on that. But Mr. Topel, I'm going to turn to you now so we can talk a little bit about safety and operations inside of this space. And if the board wants to follow along with our operational diagram, it's page 209 on the PDF of the hearing packet. But we're just going to walk through this together. So, Mr. Topel, on this operational diagram that you've helped provide, there is a number of seating capacity requirements, or I should say, estimations for each area. Can you go ahead and just describe in your own words what that is representing for each of these areas?
Yeah, so the space itself is kind of naturally segmented, and that'll probably come up throughout. But in each of those areas, that front room we have listed at about 42 seats, the main bar and cocktail area at about 82, main floor around 56, back room around 48, and the patio itself just about 100 seats. That represents the number of seats, not necessarily the number of patrons. So it's more on capacity than it is necessarily number of heads in the building.
Great. And so this would be your estimation of what peak capacity could look like if the entire space is open.
Yes.
Great. So we'll start with the indoor restaurant area. So looks like the indoor restaurant area is composed of the front and back room, main bar, and main dining area. Is that correct? About 4 areas?
That would constitute the interior of the med, yes.
Great. And so if we take your seating capacity, it looks like peak capacity on the inside of the restaurant could look a little north of 200 patrons. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay. And so to help manage expectations with this many patrons, let's talk a little bit about staffing placement. So for your front and back room, what kind of front of house staff are you going to have in each of these areas before we move on to the bar and the main floor?
Front room would constitute, so we have managers throughout with a full-fledged service, and I know we're interior managers will be 2 interior managers that kind of float the space. The front room and back room, which is what I think you were asking about specifically, have 2 servers each, a busser, and then a host that's dedicated to bring updates and seat the area, those kinds of things.
Great. And same question for your main bar as well as your main dining area.
Yep. So the main bar is gonna have 3 servers, a busser, a host, that float manager, 2 bartenders, and a bar back. The main floor itself is gonna have 3 server sections, a busser, a host, and again that float manager.
Okay, great. And on your main bar and cocktail, you have bar seats as well as dining seats, but you have 12 standing seats in there. What does that mean?
Sometimes, and we hope that we are fortunate enough to get some good volumes on Friday nights, but there's oftentimes people standing behind bar patrons, so that we wanted to just make sure that we accounted for that possibility or that hope in the counts.
Great. And so based on your ratios as well as your diagrams, it's looking like you're trying to keep your front of house employees at about 10 guests per. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's a formula that we have had a great deal of success with. Really, one of the things that we're fortunate to be working with the Williams family and with our company itself is this high touch service model that really requires us to maximize the guest experience. We find that for both safety and for guest experience, for visibility, for everything, that 9, 10, 11 guests per front of house staff member is the sweet spot for us.
Great. And now with those employees who will be handling alcohol, like you said, managers, servers, bartenders, can you go ahead and just give us a little bit of oversight of the type of training that they'll receive, both from the employer as well as maybe from responsible vendors?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, to maximize that guest experience and the safety and the responsible custodianship of this liquor license, we have a very extensive training program. We're quite proud of it. It's a 2-week comprehensive program that includes extensive alcohol training, both product knowledge, service, and then a ton of alcohol training. So their ongoing and initial training is extensive. The ongoing, so nightly we do a pre-shift before every shift. That's where we discuss ongoing concerns, issues, and always reviewing proper age dates to ensure that everybody is 21 and up when checking IDs and those kinds of things. Every employee of ours who's serving or touching alcohol will be tip certified within 30 days of hire. We conduct in-house quarterly tips seminars, and then so that happens automatically. Those are given to our employees on our dime. If they can't attend them for any reason, they still have to do that in order to be on the floor, but that's on their dime. So tip certification, internal, initial, and ongoing training on all fronts.
Great. And so it sounds like that orientation period, you're kind of going through mock service scenarios with some of your servers, bartenders, and managers as well before they actually hit the floor.
Yeah, that's a must as well. So we use more of a training checklist than a manual. So we've got our onboarding packet, we've got our employee handbook, And then our onboard, our training program is very dependent on our managers and our senior trainers. They go through day by day a structured curriculum. Then there's written assessments, there's table side assessments, and there's managerial approvals. So there's lots of layers that you have to get through in order to hit the floor to be serving anything, interacting with guests, or serving alcohol.
Great. And just to kind of round out a little bit more of your policies, what's your policy on handling vertical identification cards?
Graciously declining. We do not serve vertical IDs.
Well put, sir. So based on your diagram, this looks like it's a full service restaurant. There's no point of sale system that patrons stand in line for. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, no, this is a traditional full service. The everything is ordered through staff members. Yes.
Great. And it looks like the bar where the bartenders as well as the bar is located, this is the only service point for alcohol. So this service point is serving the entire restaurant for alcohol. Is that right?
That's confirmed.
No other hidden bars anywhere?
No, sir.
Okay. Moving off of that, if for whatever reason, say, me and my friends come in and we have standing room only, I try to go up to the bar and order 5 beers for my friends. I look 15. I would hope you card me. But what would you do in that situation when I try to order 5 beers with my one ID? What's the policy there?
Yeah, no, you have to have one ID that matches the face. You can only get 1 drink per ID. So then again, hopefully graciously and courteously, we would be happy to give you, assuming that you are of age, with proof of that, with valid proof of that. We'll be happy to get that for you and then let you know that we're sending a server right over to take care of you and your friends. That server would be carding everybody at the table, one ID, 1 face, 1 drink.
Perfect. And so just to talk a little bit about egress, ingress, as well as visibility throughout the interior. So is the primary entry or exit for patrons, is that towards the top of our diagram facing Walnut there?
Yeah, if you look at the front room and then come down to the next level, that's where you'll see that main entry.
Okay, and there's no other entry for patrons, even on the back of the premises or anything like that?
There are emergency entries, but no, as far as where the guests are coming in a standard scenario, that's it.
Okay, great. And for your managers who are floating on the interior of the premises, would you say that there's I should say clear visibility amongst each of these different rooms, even though they're segmented out?
Yeah, it's a really beautiful open space. The barriers that you see on the floor plans are actually half walls and stairs and things like that. So there's no real there's no visible obstruction between rooms.
Great. And for the areas that are designated liquor cabinets or bar storage, those types of areas on this diagram, how are you keeping those under lock and key? How are you monitoring those?
So the ones that you see, anything except the one behind the bar, which is an active service area, they're really wine storage and display for the most part. They're locked during all service. Anything adjacent to the service area is locked. Only managers and senior bartenders have keys to those areas. And again, no public access to those areas at all.
Great. And now let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the exterior of the premises. On the licensed floor plan, that's page 208 of the hearing packet for the board. There is a little area that's carved out near the planter facing Walnut. Could you describe what this area is intended to be used for, as well as why is it licensed?
Yeah, you're talking Plan North?
Yeah, the planter that's facing Walnut out near the entry and egress for patrons.
Yeah. So we would use that as a kind of a serviced spillover area. It's sectioned off by stanchions and signage, and it is a full service area. And that is just if there is a density inside the bar or the restaurant that requires us to spill out, we like to have the flexibility to have that be a service area as well.
Great. So it's more of a temporary, almost waiting area for people to maybe be seated or to just grab a quick drink.
It is absolutely that. Yeah, it's not where people would sit down and have dinner or anything like that.
Okay. Other than the stanchions and the no alcohol beyond this point signs, what are some of the other measures that you're going to be using to ensure people aren't just walking off with alcohol? Like
It is a
placement of staffing or anything
Yep,
like that?
it is a fully manned area, just like the interior of the restaurant or the patio. It is again, every stitch of operational area is a serviced area.
Great.
Manned and serviced, yeah.
Great. And now moving on to the back patio, which is towards the bottom of our floor plan. Could you just go ahead and describe what this patio layout looks like in terms of full enclosure, the levels of it? That would be helpful for the board.
You got it. So the vast majority of it is, so you go through French doors. The only way to access the patio is through the restaurant proper. It's a hosted area, so guests are always escorted out and like I said, fully manned and serviced. The vast majority of it is on a single level of patio, although you can see two areas that go up 3 stairs. They're separated by they're 3 stairs higher. There's little half retaining walls, but the whole thing of it's protected from the weather. It's protected from everything. It's a fully enclosed patio area. It's a really special place, and in my unbiased opinion, the reason that the Med was so successful for so long. It's awesome out there.
Great. And we can see on the diagram there's some stairs and an entryway up to another unit 101A. It's towards the left of our diagram. Can you describe how that's blocked off, or what the entry look or prohibited access looks like?
That's the patio of another restaurant. It's fully closed off by locked cast iron gates. There's no ingress egress in that area at all.
Great. And then towards the bottom of our floor plan, there's an exit down there as well as a staircase. Can you kind of explain there what the purpose of that exit is and how you'll be monitoring that entry and exit way?
Yeah, those are push bar emergency exits. So nobody's coming in those doors, but they are available in case of emergency for people to leave. So we as the restaurant proper don't utilize that. We don't get deliveries or anything through there. There is an empty keg cage just outside of there that we lock up empty kegs. So on very rare occasions, our bustles will go out. But the stairs that you show there are stairways up to 2nd and 3rd floor offices. Again, never used by our restaurant staff, and closed off with stanchions and signage.
Perfect. And so we didn't talk about the hours yet, but for the restaurant in whole, what are the intended hours of operation, even as we go through these phases?
Yeah, so let's call it the summer hours, probably the longer hours. We're opening at 11 o'clock for lunch and running till 10 o'clock at night. On Sunday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 11 o'clock in the morning till midnight.
Okay. And will the patio have seasonal hours?
Yeah, because the patio itself is enclosed, it is really, I would almost hesitate not to call it seasonal. It could open in December based on the temperature being right. It's got coverage, it's got heaters. So I would call it more temperature dependent than seasonal dependent, because we could find a nice day in the winter and we're opening that up, staffing the heck out of it. So it could seasonality, I'm not sure is the perfect term.
No, I gotcha. No, I should have said that we live in Colorado and every day is different. So that makes sense. I appreciate the explanation. But with that being said, during your hours of operation, will you always yeah, go ahead. Hopefully Greg is okay.
I apologize profusely. The cleaning crew was coming up and they're just
you're good.
Gonna say.
No, you're good. We're almost done. So I appreciate that. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
What I was saying is with the hours you'll be open for, even if it's 10 to 11 or 11 to 10, I'm sorry. At all times you're serving alcohol, will full meals also be available?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Sorry, you kind of, is your internet connection okay?
I thought it was, but we'll find out for sure. Yes, during all hours of operation, full meals available. Yep.
Okay, great. Now I can hear you perfect. So it looks like the seating capacity based on your diagram for the patio is at about 100 folks. Does that sound accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for that peak estimated capacity, what are you going to do for staffing out in the patio area to match that?
So there are 6 server stations, an additional manager, an additional host, 2 additional bussers, and what's not really easy to depict is if that is in full operation, you would also have an additional bartender in the main area, but only when that additional capacity is activated.
Great. And when this place is up in full operation, the entire space is open, will your managers also use other devices to stay in communication with each other throughout the restaurant?
Yes, we will be using walkie-talkies, full-fledged earpieces, and key personnel in addition to management will be connected at all times.
Great. Now let's talk a little bit about these phased openings. As Ms. Williams had testified, the intention is to roll out spaces of the floor plan. Could you kind of describe what that's going to look like and maybe some intended benchmarks for the same?
Yeah, so we're all excited. I think the world is all excited to get this thing up and running, and we can't wait to make it happen. But we want to make sure that we're doing it in a conscientious, intelligent way. So phase one, we're really talking about opening up primarily what's depicted as the front room, the main bar and cocktail area, and then the rest of it we're going to phase out the rest of the interior later on down the road, and then the gem of it all is when we get to open up the patio. But for phase one, very light and easy, we're going to try to do just that front area primarily.
Great. And we're intending phase one maybe mid-January. Is that correct?
Yeah. For our humble beginnings, that is our intention. Yes.
Great. And just to verify, will full meals be available at all times each of these phased rollouts are occurring?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as we activate the space, though, we're going to make sure that the space, so for things like the food service licensing, where the kitchen is fully operational, all the chairs and tables in place, we're going to be ready to go. It's just we're going to choose not to do so until we see that the volume, the need, and everything that we are looking for is in place. We have the luxury of being able to do this in pieces and parts, due in no small part to the Williams family. So it allows us a much greater likelihood of success, and we feel fortunate about it.
Perfect. And so understood on nothing changing inside the floor plan until everything's open, but how are you going to keep patrons from wandering into closed areas while you're rolling these phases out?
And I'm not sure how granular you want to get, but if you look at see between the main bar and the main floor, you'll see kind of a stairway and what looks to be a thick wall. It's really a half wall, so that's going to be filled with planter. We're visually there'll be no service beyond that. There'll be kind of a visual block until such time as there is service. Staff members will still be going to the dish pit. There'll still be prep going on in the kitchen, but patrons themselves will not be going that way. They can get everything that they need in that front area, including bathrooms, exits, everything.
Great. So you'll be using stanchions and maybe curtains or temporary barriers to ensure patrons aren't just wandering around.
That's correct. And Gemma has an incredible aesthetic eye, so she's going to come up with some really cool ways that we can do that.
Perfect. So let's move on. Ms. Williams had also alluded to that you may be a little familiar with this floor plan. Could you explain a little bit about your background with this particular space?
Yeah, so this was one of 3 restaurants with the Walnut Restaurant Group that I was the director of operations for 22 years. I started before Gemma was born as a server there, and then moved up into bartending and management relatively quickly. Went over after becoming the bar manager there for many years, went to open the brasserie as the opening manager. And then when we opened Via Perla, this same restaurant group, was when I moved into the director of operations responsible for all 3 locations. So yes, I've spent an inordinate amount of time on the floor of the Mediterranean restaurant. It was an amazing time.
No, great. And let's clarify your role as related to the Med Group this time around. So could you just remind the board, since we were here last month, what your official position is and who you represent?
Yeah, so I am CEO of EVG Hospitality. We're fortunate to work with the Williams family on a number of projects. This role is similar to the ones that we have also with the Bold Broker Swim Club. We are consultants that help to hire, train, run financials, do weekly meetings, essentially make sure that everything is on track at all times, and then advise on how to get it on track if food cost goes awry, labor cost goes awry, the employee manual needs updating, a general manager needs to be replaced. Any of those types of things would fall under our umbrella.
Great. So similar to Boulder Broker, you're also consulting on the med group in this situation.
Yeah, very similar relationship. Yes.
Great. And just to clarify those past topics, your entity is not the one that's actually hiring the employees. Is that right? Is it the Mediterranean group that's hiring these employees?
That's correct. They are not our employees, but we are absolutely very involved with the where you post your ads and on salary levels. We even help to do some of the interviews, but ultimately my direct report is Gemma and all decisions are hers.
Great. And yeah, you hit on my last point here. So even though you are consulting and you are lending your experience, which is very vast for this space, especially, at the end of the day, Miss Williams has the ultimate decision-making authority. Is that fair?
That's correct. Yes.
And she is your direct report as managing member.
That is correct as well.
Great. And then for EVG in general, you've already kind of given us a background of all the licenses that EVG is consulted on. Have you ever received any sort of, or have those establishments, I should say, ever received any sort of liquor license violation while you've been involved in helping consult?
No, sir. We've been incredibly diligent about it. It's one of the feathers in our cap, and it's something we definitely intend to keep on going forward with. It's crucial to us. Yes.
Great. I have no further questions for Ms. Williams or Mr. Tappel. The authority obviously may have a few questions for you.
Are there any questions from the board? I know I do have a couple. One is kind of a personal question. Are you bringing back the tapas and appetizers?
In phase two, yeah. So when Gemma was talking about it, really the formula for the med was so magical for so long. Yes, we want to bring that back, but yeah, that's probably going to be more prevalent in phase two than phase one.
And then the other question was, I haven't been by that area. I actually live in the neighborhood in a while, but did you get rid of that painted on door outside? I've seen people try to use it.
No, the mural still exists, and I think it will. And yeah, that not to say and not to say that we as staff members found that amusing, but we did.
And then my last question is more logistical regarding the planter area. I believe you said you would be putting planters around the perimeter kind of to make like a little waiting area.
Stanchions more than, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And
to provide that barrier from the street. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just saw that the license kind of goes towards an area where there's no door, and I think you did that intentionally for service. I just want to confirm with city that that's all okay without, because people are going to have to be going in and out of that because that's your main entrance.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe rephrase that question one more. Yes, people are going in and out for sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Austin. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's almost as if it's a small patio area. It's not public right of way by any means, if that is what the board is concerned about. Because this area is more interior, Walnut Street is up and past the planter and the sidewalk is up and past the planter. So this is still private property, and they're essentially just using the stanchions to make almost like a tiny little patio area where people won't just be like standing in the doorway and creating any sort of hazard or alarm there.
Sure. Just on the map, it looks like it was going into an area where people would be entering the establishment. And I didn't think that there was no physical barrier there. So that was my only concern, but I might be splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
No, please, by all means. Yeah.
It has been the same, or it's the same footprint that had been licensed for the med for the last 30 years of that. So we kept the existing boundary of where we were applying for the liquor license.
Yeah, there's enough room to move people around there as well in terms of blocking them off from just going in and out of the entrance.
Leah, what were you saying?
It's interior. Yes, that planter standing area.
It's more of an overhang. It is still exterior, but the roof essentially overhangs that planter area. So it still keeps people shielded from the weather, but it won't necessarily, it'll be, like I said, kind of stationed in a way that will prevent people from flowing in and out of the entrance and exit. And as Ms. Williams had also testified, it is the same area that was previously licensed. We just kept it the same.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board?
I do have one more.
Go ahead, Leah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're rolling out in phases, and I was just wondering if and when you do a press release and people are super excited, like how are you? I mean, I would expect it to be booked out the first night, just as a Boulder.
So that's and you know, managing those expectations is absolutely a pinnacle kind of a concern of ours. So very soft opening. Even it was hilarious because even when we posted just to do the liquor license, my phone exploded. So I don't know that we're going to be able to do it quite as quietly as we originally wanted. So what you're talking about is something that I think is going to require a great deal of thought and tenderness, because we want to blow people's mind when they come in the door, and when they come in the door and they see, oh, this is a humble beginning. We don't want to be sad about that. So yes, we are actively working on that, and the PR people are going to help us with that. So.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I just everybody. It was.
I was excited to see it.
Yeah, I see.
On the packet.
We are too.
I had a question about the front entryway. How would you handle a situation in which someone got a drink from the bar and decided, you know, I'm waiting for my table, I'm just going to go outside and kind of stand in that front entryway? They may have no understanding that it's not liquor licensed. How have you handled that? How would you handle that?
So the if there is that kind of spillover, like I said, and I hope that it's a problem someday, but it would always be the middle of spring, middle of summer, something like that. Really, there is under normal circumstances, no alcohol goes outside that door unless we've stanchioned it off and there's a server and manager in that region. So I would say 9 times out of 10, nobody's going through that door. But if they are with alcohol, it is now been a stanchioned and bordered off section. In other words, you couldn't just meander off into the street and have a glass of wine or something.
Yeah, and Greg, to clarify too, if somebody was in the standing area of the bar, had a drink, and then they tried to walk out with that alcohol, would your hostess, would your manager who is surveying that area, would they try to stop them and prohibit them?
Yeah,
from
the only person that can go in or out of that exit with a glass of wine would be a server on a tray. And then, like I said, I almost hesitate to bring up the planter. I don't think it's going to be a part of our lives, but it was the original kind of a layout, and so we just wanted we thought we were simplifying things by leaving it exactly as it is. But really, when and if it ever does become a factor, it's servers in and out, no individual guests.
Great, thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions from the board, Mr. Gemmell, did you have anything you wanted to present?
Not at this time, just very briefly in closing. I know this has been a staple for many, many years, and you could see the excitement throughout the petition results, as well as the feedback that was received on the same. So I would say that needs and desires have been more than met in this situation. And lastly, as a secondary part of our burden in proving good moral character, given Ms. Williams' testimony as well as Mr. Topel's experience that he's lending for this particular location, especially with the fact that they are being conscientious about opening the entire space at once and rolling it out in phases for feasibility and efficiency, I would say that we'd also have proven good moral character or safe service of alcohol in this particular location. So without further ado, we would respectfully request that the board grant this liquor license.
Great, thank you. At this point, we'll close for deliberation. Is there a motion, any discussion? The one things that I do want to say, as much as I like this place and it's personal, we're unbiased and we're a community advisory board. So their petitioning was, I don't think I've ever seen 100, maybe I have once or twice, but it's not very common. So that was a huge factor. Secondly, their employee, what do you call it? Policies packet.
Handbook.
That was pages after page. I kept scrolling, being like, okay, this will be the last page. This will be the last page. And it was something new. So I was very impressed by that. I think that
you and our employees all is still going through. So yes.
Yeah. So I see this as a very community safe license, and I would make a motion to approve, but if there's any other discussion.
I would say that I agree with your statements. And when I saw it, I was, of course, excited. And I was even more excited when I saw how big the packet was and the policy. And like, you guys really came prepared. And I really appreciate that. So, oh, wait, so I really appreciate that they came prepared. And so I have the same sentiments as you.
Yep. I mean, I think, Matt, did you just make a motion?
I did.
Yep. So I'll second that motion. Member Carl will second the motion to approve.
All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
License approved, and please bring back the patatas bravas.
The patatas
Seconded.
and the gambas. Yes, exactly. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
That's my mom and dad's number 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So that'll be on there. I can promise you that one.
It's basically conditional upon my employment that those two come out.
The board has spoken, Greg. Thank you all
Thank
so
you,
much.
guys.
Have a great Thanksgiving. Until next time,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Okay, next we have agenda item, which is matters from Assistant City Attorney.
And I don't have anything for you guys today.
And Christiana, I was just saying that because we kept saying we like this, we like this. I didn't want to appear biased.
Understood. I appreciate that. And putting that reminder on the record is not a bad idea.
And that's also why I wanted to follow up with how impressive their packet was, which made me even more happy that this establishment would be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, unless you guys have any questions for me, that's all on my end.
Any questions? Don't see any. Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Oh,
right.
actually, I'm sorry. I did have one thing to bring up, and I don't. I think so I realized I wasn't present at last month's meeting, but I did not abstain from the vote to move the minutes from last month. So do we need to redo that? I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah, so I mean, abstaining or not voting would mean there's not a quorum. So I think that when it's a circumstance like this where we have to have a quorum in order to move get the vote that we need and do the action item, if you are comfortable with keeping your vote as approving it, then I think you can act still. And
well, I read it and I felt comfortable with it. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we can keep it as is then.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, next is agenda item 14. And on your agenda, there was not boundary settings, but since we are not going to have a December hearing, we'll just set the boundaries for one application that would have been set in December, if that's okay with you guys.
That works.
Okay, great. This application is for Whole Foods Market Rocky Mountain / Southwest LP DBA Whole Foods Market for a permanent modification of a fermented malt beverage and wine retailer off-premise type liquor license application at 695 South Broadway, Boulder, Colorado 80305. And I'll share this map. But the suggested boundaries I actually took from King Supers, which is not same shopping center, 3600 Table Mesa. And that is diagonal highway on the north, city limits on the south, city limits on the east, and diagonal highway on the west. So this is where the Whole Foods is, and then the King Supers is over here. Hopefully that shows up.
And you said diagonal on the west?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be city limits on the west?
It could be. That's just what I pulled from the old application, or from the King Supers application.
And we're not talking about the King Supers on 30th?
We're talking about the one
Or the
that
King Supers in Gun Barrel also. There's one up there.
it's right here. So this is the Whole Foods, and then this is the King Supers.
Right, but were the boundaries that you pulled, were those from the King Supers and Gun Barrel by accident, or?
I don't think so. It might have just been incorrect in there. I'm so sorry.
No worries. I would move to do city limits on the west, city limits on the south, foothills. What do you guys think about foothills on the east? Foothills extended.
Maybe 55th on the east.
I like that better. 55th on the east and baseline on the north.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have baseline on the north, city limits on the south, 55th on the east, and city limits on the west.
Correct.
Great.
And I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Member Carl second.
All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Thank you very much. All right, and then there were no liquor license transfer applications, breweries, wineries, or distilleries. You have your special event list in there, and then the liquor renewals. And the only other thing that was included for matters from licensing clerk is there is the timeline in there for board recruitment. So to it. Board recruitment will begin on December 18th, I believe. And it will conclude on Monday, January 29th. So that's the application deadline. I don't have the applications aren't open yet. I think that they won't be open until that Monday, December 18th. So I don't have application materials quite yet for you, but that's kind of the timeline. All of that happens through the city clerk's office. So if you have interested parties, you can direct them to the city clerk's office website. And then that's just the rest of it is just kind of the timeline of how they select, when the interviews will be, and then when city council will decide and appoint. So it looks like you would have a new member on Thursday, March 7th is when the formal appointments will be made at city council.
Great, thank you.
No problem. And then I'm going to hand it over to Kristen C because I believe she has one more thing.
Thanks, Caitlin. Hello, everyone. Wanted to check in with the board regarding your annual retreat. We were looking at some potential dates to hold the retreat maybe early next year. One thing we were thinking was maybe it makes sense to have the retreat after we hopefully have some new members on board. So maybe sometime in early to mid-March might be a good time. We're looking at maybe the week of March 11th. So just wanted to put that out there and see if you all had any initial thoughts on potentially scheduling the retreat that week. It would be the week after the new members are appointed and the week before your regularly scheduled hearing.
I personally could do that. I would aim for potentially a Wednesday if at all possible, and maybe starting a little earlier. So I don't know if that works for other members in terms of start time, but just so if we do have a long agenda, we're not going till 8, 9 o'clock at night.
What was that date again? March.
So that would be Wednesday, March 13th.
I think that can work.
Yep. That should work for me.
Great, and staff is, I think, pretty flexible as far as the start time. Is there a time that would work best for the board?
Personally, I like earlier, but what do you two other board members think?
I'd say, go ahead, Leah.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, I mean, the Ideally, 4 would work best for me. I could probably do earlier, like 3:30 or even 3 if we had to, but 4 would be my ideal time.
I can be pretty flexible, I think. It's far enough out that I should be able to make it work.
I could make 4 work.
Great, and we will structure the agenda to make sure that we're not all staying too late. This staff is sensitive to that too. So I really appreciate that feedback. We'll look at those dates and then follow up maybe in January with a little more detail, but just wanted to run that past the board before we started making any plans. So thank you.
I mean, unless there's dinner involved, then it's another topic. So
We can provide dinner. Typically we'll do like a box lunch. So that's definitely something that we will be incorporating into the retreat. But we still don't want to keep you too late, but you will be fed.
Yeah, if you keep us too late, then it has to be like a happy hour or something afterwards. So I don't think that's in the budget.
Unfortunately, no, but we can get you dinner. So we'll talk more details in January.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kristen. And last is just matters from chair and members of the authority.
I know I can't remember what it was, but we tabled something before Member Carr got here because I wanted his opinion too. Did we already address that?
It was about the December meeting, I think.
That's right. Okay. Thank you. Couldn't remember. I just wanted to put it out there too. We don't have to have a robust discussion right now, but I think that if we can get Member Absalom present at the January meeting, I do kind of want to throw it back out on the table of potentially meeting in person. I know that I worked with Kristen, or I spoke with Kristen outside of this about that. And they have said that council chambers could be used for that. If it's available. But my one concern, since everybody's pretty much gotten used to the Zoom over the last 3 years, I know that I can't think of her name. I can't remember her name with Liquor Pros. She lives in Springs, so it could be
Eva
Eva,
Garrison,
thank you.
yeah.
It could be a potential issue for her. But I was wondering what the capabilities of that room are. Are we able to do hybrid meetings in there?
Yeah. So that is actually currently being renovated to be a hybrid meeting space. So, well, I think it was capable, had the capabilities of a hybrid meeting space, and then now they're renovating it, and it's still going to be a hybrid meeting space after. But either way, it's currently under renovation. So council chambers isn't currently available. I don't believe, and it won't be available until the new year, is if I recall correctly. But after its renovation, then yes, it will be available for hybrid meetings. So it's set up in a way that like whoever is appearing in person, and specifically the board is appearing in person, and anyone else can appear virtually. And then we would just have staff there. Staff would also be there in person. So that's absolutely a capability. There's other rooms in the city that are also set up for hybrid. They're just smaller. So there is a room or 2 rooms, I believe, on the first floor of the Brenton building, which is actually where city licensing office is. I am not 100% sure that those rooms would work super great for our purposes because we do have a lot of people that come to our meetings. I believe that like the club has maybe met there before, but they don't have as many people at their meetings because they are not as a judicial board yet. So because of the nature of your meetings, I would advocate that council chambers is probably the best option for a hybrid once it's done being renovated.
And that's what we've all kind of concluded. The Brenton building works. It's just not the most ideal for our purposes. Council chambers has always worked very well for us. And if it can be hybrid, I think that would work. But again, just wanted to throw it out there. I'll probably be bringing that up at the January meeting.
So if I may just like jump in really quick.
Absolutely.
Thank you. For hybrid meetings, we would want to talk about policies because this is like we're presenting evidence and we have quasi-judicial hearings and things like that. We're going to have to think about how we want to manage, attendance. Like, can everybody be like choose to be online, or can are there certain people who are required to be in person or something like that? Plus, with the hearing issues. And this is just flagging it for you guys. This is not meant to be a robust discussion in this moment, but yeah, just presenting evidence and deadlines for packets, and people presenting things in person when the other people are aligned, and making sure everybody can see what they need to see. Those are all issues that all kinds of communities, right, have addressed and need to think about when choosing to do hybrid meetings. But I just wanted to flag that for you guys.
No,
Yeah.
that's something to think about.
I think it would be important to have those in place, and then it would be tough because, and I'm just going to throw this out there, like today, I just got back from urgent care. I have pink eye. You don't want me there today. So then I wouldn't have been there, or I show up on here and then we got to explain why I'm here. I don't know. I also, people's like Miss Williams is working on all these different businesses, and if she's coming before us, I also don't want to make people be so inconvenienced. And then I don't know. We can certainly discuss it more. I'm just throwing out there, today, that would have been a real issue for me. You probably noticed I was trying not to go on video too much, but I needed to. So I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you, before I came to Boulder, I worked with other communities who kind of just you can just attend online if you want to, no matter who you are, whether you're a applicant or just a member of the public wanting to speak, or a board member. Anybody can choose. And again, this is just one way to do it, but it is one way to do it. Is just anybody can choose to be online or in person, and we just have both spaces ready, and then we just craft our evidence and packet deadlines and rules and things like that around that, basically, right? If there are deadlines or something like that, or saying, hey, look, you can't hand me something in person during the meeting that nobody else can see, so
right.
So yeah.
And sounds like we almost didn't have a hearing today.
Well, I'm out of town, so I'm not even in the state of Colorado right now. So that would have been difficult for me to attend the hearing as well in person. So I'm glad we have to do these things remotely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I had. Is there anything from any of the members?
No, but thanks for bringing it up. I think it's something we should revisit and keep and make sure that the public doesn't prefer, as we are serving the community, prefer for us to be in person or something. It's good to always check in.
Yeah, there's just so many distractions when I'm here, so maybe it's just me finding it more appropriate.
Oh, I have an office at my house, so.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make one.
Great. Is there a second? Member Califano would second. All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
We are adjourned at 5:40 p.m.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have good holidays.
You
Happy
too.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
And Christmas.
And Christmas. Bye-bye.